Yep.
I'm pleased to welcome Troop 113 with us and invite Matthew up to lead us in the pledge. Please rise.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we go to public audience, I'll take a motion to amend the agenda to add the acceptance of a gift from St. Catherine's of Siena Catholic Church in the amount of $5,000 to support the Simsbury Food Closet.
Second?
We'll put that before item A. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. We will begin our meeting with public audience. Is there anyone who would like to speak for public audience? Joan?
What a surprise. Joan Coe, 26 Whitcomb Drive. On Thursday, September 28th, the Board of Finance had a meeting where First Selectman Lisa Heavner was asked for an update on the search for a town manager. First Selectman Lisa Heavner stated that the implementation of a town manager is an experiment. It appears that First Selectman Lisa Heavner continues to grieve over her loss of control of the government by passing the torch to a town manager. There were 6,422 votes for a town manager. None of these people thought they were voting for an experiment. First Selectman Lisa Heavner is a candidate for the Board of Finance in the upcoming election, following in the footsteps of First Selectman Mary Glassman. I will not vote for Lisa Heavner for Board of Finance since she has registered her opinion on the town manager. I am concerned that First Selectman Lisa Heavner will use her power to subvert the system so her experiment will fail. Over the years of her service, she has wasted tax dollars with studies and contracts on the senior center and other policies. Heavner filibustered when she tried to give abatements to an undeserved CTEC solar company with unpaid taxes. First Selectman Lisa Heavner has included payments to private organizations in the town budget, giving a politically connected David Ryan, president of the Simsbury Performing Arts Center, $15,000 for a utility vehicle. First Selectman Lisa Heavner took money from the general fund to reduce taxes. However, the expenditures remain in the budget year after year. It is my opinion that First Selectman Lisa Heavner should not be elected to the Board of Finance, since she is not fiscally conservative, will subvert the actions of a town manager, and will continually vote for taxpayer dollars to go to politically motivated organizations. At the last Board of Selectmen meeting, I brought to your attention many of the conflicts of interest Simsbury's town attorney DiCrescenzo. I have not heard any response. According to Section 410 investigation of the town charter, the Board of Selectmen shall have the power to investigate any and all offices, boards, commissions, and agencies of the town. All the members of the Board of Selectmen are candidates for re-election to the Board of Selectmen, with the exception of First Selectman Lisa Heavner. Why should anyone vote for this board to continue serving the town when they refuse to investigate allegations of misconduct brought to their attention at Board of Selectmen meetings? Are they afraid to offend anybody to get reelected, or are they serving the residents of Simsbury? The Simsbury Performing Arts, Inc. filed papers with the Secretary of State from 2011 to 2017 showing that Dave Ryan is the president and Updike, Kelly, and Spellacy are the agents. Attorney DiCrescenzo is a member of this law firm and has not noticed on areas of exception the conflict with the Performing Arts, Inc. Attorney DiCrescenzo reviews the contract of the town with the Simsbury Performing Arts. How can Attorney DiCrescenzo work for both parties on a contract? Attorney DiCrescenzo has a known conflict with the Ethel Walker School during the finalization of the contract with the Ethel Walker School for sale of open space to the town. Attorney Houlihan was hired to finalize the contract. Attorney Houlihan was paid by the town $8,000 for his service. Since the taxpayers pay over $100,000 a year to Attorney DiCrescenzo, why did the taxpayers pay for his conflict? The town should ask for reimbursement of all money paid to attorneys hired due to DiCrescenzo's conflict. Are we paying Attorney DiCrescenzo over $100,000 a year to be the rainmaker for Updike, Kelly, and Spellacy, or protect the residents of Simsbury? A male in his 20s recently committed suicide by hanging at Great Pond State Park in Simsbury. This person was a Simsbury resident. Suicides have increased over the years. Why would a person take his own life? Simsbury has lost several family members to suicide. At the last meeting, there was discussion of focus groups with selected members to give input to the selection process for a town manager that was done behind closed doors. I am concerned that First Selectman Lisa Heaven is trying to subvert the system, since she is continually grieving for the loss of First Selectman and is vehemently opposed to a town manager by stating that this is an experiment that could be changed at a later date. What town manager would want to come to Simsbury as an experiment? I hope that the consultant will ignore all the chatter and provide a long-term town manager for Simsbury that is required to reside in the town.
Thank you,
And all of my
Ms. Coe.
comments will be posted on Simsbury Patch, Twitter at Joan Coe, newsfeed on Facebook, and Simsbury
Thank you.
Forum Topics. Thank you for listening.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak at public audience? Mr. Kalishman.
Thank you for allowing me to address the board. Robert Callisman, Simsbury. I thought I'd take a little of my time and mention the fact that, people come here and they give public audience. And I'm certain they can spend their time at home, they can spend their time with their grandchildren, they can spend their time with their families. They don't have to come here and explain their object in life to be civic-minded, and then get the smirks and the teeth gritting from the board. It's not right. And it just shows of your unprofessionalism to sit there and do what you do. I caught a few of these smirks and people rolling their eyes, and it's not right. People come here and they devote their time for civic duty. They speak out against what they perceive as wrong. Wrong? Conflict of interest. That's wrong. And everybody said, well, there's no conflict of interest. All of a sudden, we have a marijuana facility, and we never had a hearing. We never had an investigation why they were coming to town. And the same individuals, the good old boys, Dave Ryan, Mr. Pomeroy, these are the fellas that gave us marijuana. And Ms. Coe asked a legitimate question. Why are our young people committing suicide, killing themselves? They want to kill themselves, join the Marines, go to Afghanistan, take the point, and you're dead. But nobody does anything. And I just think that your attitude is wrong. People have time they could spend, and they come here and they devote their time to good government that they expect out of this town. And good government is not what I was going to talk about, and I spoke about before. This the town with the FEMA. $41,000, $978. I don't know if Mr. Shea is here this evening, but here was the thing where he said, we're getting that money, we're going to tear down a wall. Come to find out, you people, you paid $150,000 plus $50,000 to Betty Hudson, a political hack, to sell her house, which she built in a floodplain and never should have been built there in the first place. And we have veterans here tonight. And you know what Miss Huston did when she came to this meeting? She said to Mary Glassman, "I don't want a veterans monument, not in my backyard." That was the thanks. And we turned around and we thanked her again. We gave her $200,000. And to a man, you voted for it. And now you're going to tear it down. A good house with housing the way it is, you're going to tear it down. And you cockamamie story or concocted story about, oh, we're going to get a federal grant. And it goes right back, the federal grant. And getting back to, how about the federal grant or the state grant that was given the veterans? And now you're asking them to give back the money. That money was donated. Don't shake your head. That money was donated for a monument. It wasn't donated to give back to the town to put in the general fund. And I attended that meeting, and I was at that meeting when Mr. Cook, in all due respect, stood up and said, "Don't worry about it, I'll move the paperwork around." Well, he couldn't move the paperwork around, and you know why? Because you didn't have an architect, and the grant called that you had to use a town architect, and you didn't use a town architect till the very last minute to cover your tails. And this is what people come up here for, and that's why I'm a candidate running for first selectman. I have a lovely wife. I can go, the Bahamas. She loves the Bahamas. I can go to the Bahamas, and believe me, I can stay there.
Mr.
So
Kalishman,
why
it's
do
been
I
over
come
5
here?
minutes.
I come here to do my civic duty.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else?
time
Is there
people
anyone else who
start
would like to
doing their
speak for
civic
public audience? Yes. Can you give your name and address for the clerk?
Johnny Marshall. Oh, I have to write it in?
It's helpful for her. She knows Mr.
Okay.
Kalishman and Ms. Coe.
Okay. I'm Johnny Marshall, and I'm from the community farm of Simsbury, doing business as Gifts of Love. So we are one organization. A lot of people are familiar with the farm that's up across from the airport that used to be the Town Farm Dairy, and then we became an educational and community supporting farm. And we merged with Gifts of Love a few years back. And so it's been kind of hard to get the two names together, and we have decided to change the name to Gifts of Love Farm instead of doing business as Community Farm of Simsbury. A little bit about that is that we take care of the land, and we donate over 75% of our produce back to the town. So it goes to social services on Tuesday mornings, and it goes to the food pantry and at Gifts of Love in Avon and other sources of people that need it. Our executive director couldn't be here tonight, so I said I would come in and just explain why we wanted to change the name so that we're finding the unity and other volunteer sources that will come in and help us. We are a nonprofit. I don't know if anybody knows about Gifts of Love, but we're very glad to be working with them because this way we get many more volunteers and more opportunities for students to come visit the farm. I'm the educational director, so that's kind of my most important route for me to have people on the farm.
Thank you.
Yeah. I brought some flyers along. We're doing 2 big events, which are to help. They're all for fundraising for our nonprofit, which is Fright Night on October 21st, and I will leave those. And our gala, which is once a year. Once again, it's not for raising money, it's for supporting our cause, because we don't really have a lot of income being a nonprofit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can leave those with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak at public audience?
Do you want my home?
Susan?
I don't know.
And Susan, could you just write your name on that sheet for the clerk to help with the spelling?
I usually come and support the Scouts.
Hello, good evening. I'm glad I made it in the nick of time. I'm here tonight as the Old Growth Forest Coordinator for Hartford County. I mentioned this at the last meeting. This is something I've been looking at for quite a while, And it's something that's coming up before the Conservation Commission right now, and I was unable to attend the last Conservation Commission meeting. There were some questions, so it's going to go back to the Conservation Commission. At their next meeting, we're going to have additional people attending, such as Eric Hammerling, who's the Executive Director of Connecticut Forest and Parks. But I wanted to bring you as much information as I could tonight in advance before it comes to you at your meeting, so that you don't get the information at the meeting and wonder what it's about. So essentially, the Old Growth Forest Network is a national nonprofit dedicated to promoting having forests that are either old growth be preserved or allowing second-generation older forests to become old-growth forests and be places that people can know will be an intact ecosystem and enjoy them for generations and know that they'll be maintained in a natural, self-sustaining state. The designation with the Old Growth Forest Network doesn't actually have any legal teeth to it at all. So what you're agreeing to is essentially really nothing, just kind of a community support for maintaining the forest like that. And one reason why I think it would be a real honor for Simsbury is we've really preserved a lot of open space. We're not going to preserve any additional large parcels of open space, but we do have an incredible open space legacy and history, and this would be just another way to advertise that. And my real dream is that Belden Forest, which is right in the center of our town, would be the first forest in Connecticut designated as part of the Old Growth Forest Network. And the other appropriate forest that we've been looking at is the Ethel Walker Woods. One reason why I think Belden is so important is, you know, my work is as a neuroscientist. I'm very interested in brain health in general and in mental health. And the forests offer a lot of health benefits, and particularly to issues like anxiety, depression, and PTSD. So veterans who spend time in forests are often able to reduce their medications, and it can be very therapeutic. So I think it's really fitting that the forest would be right near our new Veterans Memorial. So I've prepared some information. I'm not expecting you to read it right now, but it's a summary of the Forest Forum that we had in April, so just outlining what happened at that event. So I have a bunch of those for everyone. And it is some questions that came up at the Conservation Commission. So I tried to address some of the questions that I heard had come up at the commission, just kind of get those answers to you in case you had similar questions. It's also the letter from Eric Hammerling supporting this designation, the letter from the Old Growth Forest Network explaining what the network is, the memorandum of agreement, which is essentially just saying we support this designation, and it would come with a metal plaque that we could display at the forest or at Town Hall. And what is a possible future step is what a lot of organizations are using, including the, what's it called, the New England Northeast Wilderness Trust, which has over 25,000 acres in separate parcels, is a forever wild easement, which would essentially say that we are going to maintain this forest in a natural state. It still allows you to go in if there's issues with public health or invasives or any problems, but essentially describes how would you best manage a forest that you want to be a self-sustaining natural forest. So those are the kind of the other attachments. And, you know, one reason that really I got started on Belden, and I mentioned this the last time I was before you, was this article that Marjorie Winters wrote in the Land Trust magazine about Belden Forest. And so I included that article for you as well. And I'd be happy to answer any questions either now or, you know, in the meantime, Lisa has all my contact information. And I appreciate your attention.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak at public audience? For the Boy Scouts who are here, this is when we have our Board of Selectmen meetings, this is the time where we conduct the town's business. And as part of that, we offer an opportunity for public audience. By the rules adopted by the Board of Selectmen, we give each speaker 5 minutes, and they can speak on any topic that they want. And that's related to the First Amendment of what? Anyone want to yell it out? U.S. Constitution, right? So that's free speech. So we let people say whatever they want. We don't limit any speech whatsoever. And, that's the sweet song of democracy, and we welcome it and enjoy it. And just as people are free to speak whatever they want, each listener is free to think whatever they want as to what they hear. So that's part of the democratic system, and we're pleased you were able to see some of that. We will now move on to presentations. We have Seeking the Greatest Good Award from Main Street Partnership being presented by their president, Richard Correa. I think that this is a great way to honor great people in our community doing great and good. And I think we are fortunate to be in a community where so many people, if they see a problem, they step up and fix it. They're not sitting on the sidelines. So we are very pleased to be here for this. Rich, I'll turn it over to you to do the presentation.
Thank you. It's great to see everybody in the audience tonight and those of you at home. And we have a special award tonight from the Simsbury Main Street Board of Directors. Robert and Judy Sturgis, are sitting in the front row here, embody the idea of putting the community above all else. And they have shown that in the 3 decades of owning and managing what we affectionately call the Weldon Building in downtown Simsbury. With over 20 businesses in their mixed-use building in the Historic District on the National Historic Trust, they have served as a small business incubator for companies that could not afford space otherwise and took a chance on owners that others would not. In addition, they donate considerable time and money to many local charities, including the Simsbury Land Trust and the Village for Children and Family Services. Through their charitable foundation, Robert and Judy are role models for the community, and Simsbury is lucky, very lucky, to have them. It is with great pleasure that the Simsbury Main Street Partnership Board of Directors presents the Seeking the Greatest Good Award, named after Simsbury's native son, Gifford Pinchot, to the Sturgis family. And this is
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
That is great.
the camera.
All right, so we're gonna,
Okay, now
first,
we're
we're gonna
doing some
congratulate you, and then we're gonna do pictures. We're gonna have you guys get next to the picture, because we love Rich, but really.
Not rich.
You're the one getting the award. We'll have the Board of Selectmen come around and join, so why don't we come around?
No, you don't.
That's a Yankee
It's
right
right
there.
down to me. All right, so you guys come in the middle, since you're the superstars.
Turn our way, Lacey, swing it up this way.
All right, so we're gonna do a little bit angled, so Sean, if you can angle it, there you go. You're gonna have to go behind, because you're tall. There you go.
Yeah, just give you the picture.
Well, here's the camera over to the right, so you gotta face this way.
Look at all those.
There you go.
All right, that's gonna work.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll put that on the front banner of our webpage, just to mortify you. Yes. But congratulations, and we're very proud and grateful to you. Thanks, Sarah.
You got some kind of... We do. Sarah, the wrapping? You threw it out. Thank you.
So I think sometimes we forget how fortunate we are to be in a community with we have so many things on the agenda that are celebrating great people in the community. So Boy Scouts, you picked a great day to come, because you're going to see people who are doing awesome things in this community. And the first we have is the amended agenda to accept the gift from St. Catherine of Siena Roman Catholic Church of $5,000 to support the Simsbury Food Closet. The Reverend Michael White, through the generosity of the parishioners of St. Catherine of Siena Catholic Church and from their Neighbors in Need Fund, have offered a financial donation in the amount of $5,000 for the Simsbury Food Closet. This donation was made as part of the food drive organized by Representative Hampton over the weekend. So we are very grateful for their donation, and I ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
So we'll go with Cheryl and then Mike. Any further discussion? With our thanks, all in favor?
Aye.
And I spoke with Kristen, and she will be writing the thank you now. And I called Father White and left him a message as well. So very grateful to that church.
thought you were going to lead with tax returns or tax
Yeah,
refunds.
well, it was close. Because the Boy Scouts are here, I'm not leading with tax
I
returns. But we're
appreciate you
coming.
doing that.
But we are coming on to tax returns, which is really the most exciting motion of the meeting. May I have a motion to approve tax refunds in the amount of $3,083.59?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. We move on to, we have Jerry, I didn't see you there. Jerry, you are stealth. We have with us the Director of Culture, Parks and Rec, Jerry Toner, to approve the fee schedules for Simsbury Farms Ice Rink and Paddle Tennis Courts as recommended by the Culture, Parks and Recreation Commission. Before the board are the fee schedules, and they're attached to the submitted agenda item, so you can take a look at that. And after increasing fees last year, the Culture, Parks and Rec Commission felt that any recommended increase this year should be modest and made to address increased operating costs. Staff also evaluated rental rates and daily rates at comparable facilities, although there are not too many comparable facilities with an open ice rink.
No, there are not, and particularly not that are, municipal facilities, municipal rinks, period, let alone open areas like ours. So there's not a lot of comparables, but, we try and talk to other municipal-run rinks that, just to see what they're doing in terms of, what they're looking at for rate increases, what they're basing it on, same sorts of things that we are, basically utility costs, labor costs, things like that. And I think by and large, we certainly tried to keep them, keep our increases at a very nominal level, mostly all local groups. I think keeping them at the level we have has allowed us to attract a lot more. Last year, our rentals were up, particularly to smaller groups, were up significantly, and I think that's probably a result of the, the price we're able to offer. So I think the structure, this pricing structure seems to be working well.
And we appreciate the efforts of Culture, Park and Rec Committee, because they give a lot of thought to this and think about meeting operating expenses while meeting the need of the community as well. All right, and you did consult with the high school, was consulted as well, so they've been informed of this.
They are, yeah.
All right, so I'll open it up to questions from the board.
Can I just make a comment?
Absolutely.
Question? I have to say, I've heard from a couple of mother ducks who have been very appreciative of the improvements at the rink.
A little more comfort for the, so.
But it just goes to show what you were saying about helping out smaller groups
Right.
who just want to use the ice, have some fun, have some community time, and play a game. And it's a great way for the community to come together. And I think, you've done a great job with those improvements up there.
All right, with that, I'll take a motion.
So move.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Kathy, I realize I didn't say the motion out loud. I'll get you this piece of paper on the actual motion. The motion was to approve the fee schedules. Okay, you got it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll move on to item C, approve the acceptable use policy. Before the board is a motion to approve the acceptable use policy outlining the acceptable use of technology and communication resources applied by the town to employees, members of boards, committees, and commissions, contractors, consultants, and temporary employees. The policy addresses network access, use of email and internet, management of electronic files, and other matters that seek to protect the security of the town. This policy recommendation comes before the board at the full recommendation of the 2016 Bloom-Shapiro report and also from the Technology Committee. So I will start with Chris to discuss this.
Yep. This is really just one of extension of a whole host of review of regulations and procedures. This is one that's obviously critically important as it deals with access and acceptable use. It really was created by town staff as well as working with the technology subcommittee, which has done a great job. So if there's any questions, we can answer those for you.
Open it up to Tom as well, who is a staff liaison there.
Melissa.
And Melissa as well.
Also instrumental in working with Rick Pisano and our technology task force to come up with the policy. Again, one of the great benefits of that task force is that they draw on their own experience on their own policies. So there was a lot of material to condense once we got done with everybody. But they worked hard on this, and we're pleased to present it.
So open it up to questions from the board.
I have a
Cheryl.
question. It's burning in my question is how this applies to Board of Ed employees, and are they included in this policy? Because I believe there are separate policy considerations
That's correct.
through the Board of Education, so we're,
This does not apply to them.
okay. So we're only talking about town employees outside of the Board of Ed.
Correct.
Yes,
Now, just also to be clear, we do confer with each other, and we've, in fact, their policy was taken into consideration as we drafted this.
Okay, thank
But we
you.
do
And
not
they
have the
partic-
authority to do that.
Well, that's what
for the
I was
Board of Ed.
wondering, and
Yeah.
I know they have a very stringent set of rules for,
And as part of the process of sharing information includes a representative from the Board of Ed and
Okay.
on the task force. We've also started a steering committee, which is staffed by, again, our IT staff, the Board of Ed IT staff, Bert Leclerc is the business manager, and the two of us. And in fact, one of the next policies that is likely to go before you is an incident response policy that town staff has worked on. The next step will be to share it with the Board of Ed to see if there's something we can work in common, and of course it will bring the technology task force, so.
And ultimately to this board.
do you think we need to specifically exclude them in this policy? or
No.
I don't believe so, Cheryl. It's very, we have, as a matter of fact, almost no policies that I can think of that are joint at this point.
Okay, just want to know.
And we don't have
Thank you,
the, we could include them
Right.
or exclude them, but we have no authority
It
to do
doesn't
that,
matter,
right?
but that's why I was thinking, may, in order to emphasize that we don't have the authority to do that, excluding them would say
That's
we
worth
don't.
pointing out, and I
you
appreciate
know,
you saying it during
that's
the
a-
meeting, yes. But they, to their credit, that's one of the things where people say, the town and Board of Ed work together. We work very closely on IT
Oh,
and
I-
security.
I understand that.
So
but I'm
they've
just-
been great partners with us.
Absolutely happy.
All right, may I have a, yes, Sean?
So I want to put this delicately, but there's does not appear to be a prohibition on content for websites in this policy. What I'm speaking in reference to would be content that would be inappropriate for the workplace. So you've got discrimination section, but there's no specific prohibition on a particular subset of websites.
There's some reference in the social media section
Social
to
media.
professional and responsible manner, does not otherwise violate the town's policies or detrimental to the best
So if you
interest.
look at prohibited activities, there is something that says that accessing, downloading, or storing any materials that promote discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, age, marital status, et cetera. So there are, we've got some things that are very clearly prohibited here. And then above it says that under appropriate use, it says that internet use on town resources shall be for business matters directly related to the operational activities of the town. And users are responsible for exercising good judgment regarding the reasonableness of personal use. It's one of those areas where it's sometimes, it's the old Supreme Court ruling on pornography. We know it when we see it. So I think within reasonable use, that gives us some room, some latitude to probably use, we have to be a little subjective about that.
I'll leave it to the lawyers, but if you brought me a town employee and said it's time to fire that person because they accessed a pornographic website based on this policy, I would tell you we couldn't.
Has this been?
So an additional piece is, once you begin to list activities, you have to list all of them.
Okay.
So the general statement of work-related, it was felt encapsulates everything and was a pretty clear delineation, actually.
As long as, again, it's just one of those, if we're gonna pass a policy and everybody wants to use it, make sure it can be used for what it's intended for, because that's on the top of the list of what we'd be talking about.
So-
Because if somebody walks by, and I'm not gonna pick a department's office, and they see that on a computer,
Sean, even without this policy, I'd be very comfortable recommending this.
just wanna make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has this
It's in a
policy been
hostile
reviewed by
environment.
council?
Yes, it has.
Okay. So I think that addresses your concern there.
It doesn't, but, I mean, because my question hasn't been asked. But I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Well-
Unless my specific question has been asked.
Again, Sean, I've done a lot of employment law, and we would have no problem winning that case.
That could
But
be
the
a
question
hostile
was asked, do we list everything specifically or refer to this
No,
general
I
statement? That
think-
was absolutely an area of,
Yes.
Yeah.
well, Yeah.
Not specifically to
Right.
the issue of pornography, but as to, that was certainly implied.
What was the best wording to encapsulate all inappropriate uses, which could include people who, betting, sports, it goes on, shopping, social media, Facebook.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I agree. Where do you start, where do you stop? But I mean, on the unlawful activities, the only unlawful activities are threats, harassment, slander, defamation, and gambling. So is every other unlawful activity okay?
Well,
Or
you
is it
can't,
just unlawful activity, period? I mean, under the same argument. I'm
Right,
not
right.
trying to be unreasonable. I
Yeah.
know what you mean. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that this does what we think it does. And we're not just passing something where then a lawyer comes in here and says, sorry, you can't fire my client.
Well, we did have it reviewed by council, but if you prefer, we can send it back to council and have
No, we
council
can
come in and
pass
pass.
it,
Okay.
but we should just make sure that.
You can, and in fact, if choose to move to add viewing of pornographic materials, and that's, I think.
I don't want to cause a
Chris is
legal
the-
issue the other way, though. If you're telling me that that's been vetted by council, again, I don't want to make the issue worse.
And I wouldn't hesitate to move forward with disciplinary action in the circumstances you described under this policy.
No, I trust you guys are putting it together.
And we can also amend the policy. I mean, we have a legal meeting tomorrow, and we'll raise that with Bob specifically, but we do believe he had addressed it. But we'll double check that.
And again, not questioning, I just want to make sure that.
No,
No, good questions. Very good
well,
questions.
I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah,
interrupting
Cheryl.
again. But if it would make Sean more comfortable with that, could we list that using the including but not limited to language and cover the same?
We can do that. We can add language saying that these are illustrative only, and that the list is not all inclusive to the extent that we do that. So we could certainly add language like that.
I'm comfortable with the way it is, just with the understanding that we're going to continue to look at it.
Absolutely.
Amend it as needed. And if that comes up, certainly we'll amend it.
And we can amend it the next meeting if
Yep.
Attorney DiCrescenzo feels it's needed. We will raise it with him tomorrow. We have a meeting with him tomorrow. People comfortable with that? Any other questions? May I have a motion to approve the acceptable use policy?
So moved?
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. We move on to action item D, to approve the tentative agreement with the IBPO. Before the board is a request to approve the tentative agreement with the IBPO, Local 458, and authorize the first selectwoman to execute a collective bargaining agreement revised accordingly. The union ratified the tentative agreement on October 2nd, and it is now before the Board of Selectmen. You will see from the submission, but I'm going to let Tom walk it through us, that negotiations were significantly handicapped by the absence of a state budget, as we all know. We still do not have a state budget, and of course, I remember I forgot to do my first selectmen's reports. You guys are terrible. And the potential.
That was Sean's responsibility.
And the potential short and long-term impact of the state's financial shortfall on the town. In the face of a significant uncertainty about the financial impact of the shortfall in years to come, the parties agreed at mediation to execute a one-year deal with a 2% wage increase, which is consistent with other police union settlements, helping the town to keep pace with comparable communities, takes into account the potential results and cost of a lengthy contract arbitration, is within the town's fiscal year 2017-2018 budget in terms of the 2% raise. It does go a little bit above in the bonus, signing bonus, but we'll talk about that in a second. Provides stability during a transition period for both elected and appointed town officials, and positions the parties to resume negotiations once a clearer picture of the financial impact of the state's budget is available. Part of the agreement also includes a signing bonus of $350 per offer at a one-time cost of $12,250. This amount will not be used in the calculation of pension benefits, and that $12,250 was not budgeted, but we believe it can be absorbed in the budget through other means. And I'll open it up to Tom and Melissa, who did the majority of the negotiations, as well as Eric Gomes.
Thank you, Lisa. We also included a copy of some of the language terms of the tentative agreements for you. I was asked, and I do want to make clear that no vacation days were added during this negotiation. There were some language clarifications, some of which were designed to bring it to a gender-neutral contract, some of which were designed to made clear, for example, that there was limits on the number of sick days. That's something parties understood, that it had been memorialized in the contract. We were at impasse when we went into this mediation. This is ideally one does something more than a one-year contract, but we were frankly very, very far apart on a lot of the economic issues, and by the time you work through the math and what it would cost to go to arbitration, and keeping the issues open during a transition in leadership, it just didn't make sense to leave this hanging out there like that. And so we came to a 2% deal, and again, I think Lisa identified the basis for doing that, but it is for a one-year contract. And the IBPO simply understands that we're looking awfully hard at what comes next from the state of Connecticut. So this was a tough for both sides, to be very blunt about it. And we're hopeful that with some clarity, the other issues can be resolved. The other part of this was a delay in moving forward with the pension plan arbitration. So we'll try to get all the issues before one arbitration panel, if and when it comes to that. You know, hope springs eternal, and maybe we'll be able to negotiate an agreement that settles it all.
So I open it up to questions from the board. Are there any questions?
I've got one, Lisa.
Mike?
Tom, I appreciate all the hard work that you and Melissa did. I know that it was a difficult decision, and I know you tried to get a multi-year agreement, but I would have to agree with your comment that a short-term deal is better than no deal.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you guys' efforts.
Can you say that a little louder so maybe the state hears that?
A short-term deal is better than no deal, Governor.
So are there any other comments from members of the board? So with our thanks and to the members of the IBPO who negotiated fairly honestly and appropriately, professionally, we're very grateful to our staff who works with us. And, you know, these are tough times, tough choices, tough decisions have to be made, but we really appreciate their willingness to work with the town staff and to come to an agreement on this. So very grateful to our staff, as well as to Melissa, Tom, and Eric who worked on it. So with that, may I have a motion to approve the tentative agreement with the IBPO Local Number 458 and authorize the first selectwoman to execute a collective bargaining agreement revised accordingly?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. So, thanks, everyone. We have before us, I was telling the Boy Scouts, I'm glad you were here, because I don't know if you had a chance to meet our veterans, but we have three wonderful veterans here with us who, have you guys all seen the memorial over by the library? You kind of see, as you walk by at night, if you haven't seen it, when you drive back home, it's lit up at night, it's spectacular, and that wasn't always there. And this was done through the hard work of volunteers in the community who saw a need that needed to be met and, you know, didn't just talk about it. They actually came together and did something about it. And that's, I know, one of the charges to Boy Scouts, all of you, is to be good citizens. And if you see something that needs fixing, fix it, right? And so our veterans have done just that, and we're very pleased to welcome Lynn Lanza, John Fox, and Bruce Elliott. Do one of you want to say something before we?
Yes, I would love to, thank you.
That's a surprise. Hi, Len. Len, before you start, I'm just going to advise the public what this is about. Before the board is a request to accept the donation of $30,495 from the Simsbury Veterans Memorial, Inc. for the construction of additional improvements to the Simsbury Veterans Memorial Project, including the new sidewalk connection to the parking lot and deglazing of the black granite pavers. And I wanted to introduce also Adam Kessler, who is our assistant town engineer, who has also worked with our veterans on that and been a great partner, and appreciate all your work and Jeff Shea's work. Okay, Len.
Thank you. Leonard Lanza, 2 Fire Brick Lane. It's a pleasure for me to be here tonight, speaking on behalf of the Simsbury Veterans Memorial Incorporated, the American Legion, and the VFW. This final payment of $30,495 is the culmination of a 6-year project.
It was 5.5 years ago, on June 25th of 2012, when I first came to the Board of Selectmen, but who's counting? When I first came to the Board of Selectmen to speak and present my notion for building a new memorial to honor veterans at Simsbury. I had no design, I had no location, I had no money. But you didn't laugh at me. You were very supportive, and we appreciate it. Look where we are today. Things have gone slowly, particularly at the outset. It was 4 months after that first presentation that we suffered our first rejection with the site. And another 6 months after that, we suffered our second rejection with the site. Things were looking kind of dismal for a while. And one day, very shortly after that, after I had spent most of the day driving from site to site in town, sites we had previously dismissed as not viable, that I walked into Mary's office, Mary Glassman's office, with my list. And I said, Mary, I want you to tell me where you want us to build a memorial on town property. She called in Rich Switsky, and the rest is history. We took it from there, and things have worked out beautifully. I'm happy to report that all of the modifications to the originally dedicated memorial from last November have been completed. Some of those modifications are very obvious, others are not. The obvious ones, of course, include the deglazing of the, or deglossing as we oftentimes slip into, of the shiny black granite, which was very slippery and hazardous, has been replaced. It's now far safer. We have the new fence, which is very obvious. We have the new walkway, which is very obvious. There were other minor modifications, and they were all initiated by the 4-member committee, the Terry Hahn and the town engineer Jeff Shea. Along the way, there have been some internal and external disagreements, but we never lost sight of what our objective was. After the first bid opening, we were several hundred thousands of dollars away from reality. That was another dismal day. But we went back to the drawing board. We redesigned, we reevaluated and redesigned, and we're very proud of what we, Simsbury veterans, and their partners, the town of Simsbury, have accomplished. Throughout the process, town officials and all the boards and commissions, and we had to go through all of them, have been very cooperative and supportive, for which I am and will be forever extremely grateful. For me personally, I'm most thankful to Terry Hahn, Mary Glassman, Lisa Hebner, and Jeff Shea, along with the other 3 members of our Simsbury Veterans Memorial Committee. John Fox, who's been the treasurer and in charge of the database for the pavers, and that's been a monstrosity of a chore. And John has agreed to continue to perform in that capacity. Bruce Elliott, who's been with me from the beginning, right from the beginning of the project. And Ray Jennings, who was not here, and Ray was the chairman of the initial fundraising project. Pavers will be available on an annual basis. We've just done it for the last year twice, for Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Henceforth, they'll be available, and they'll be well publicized, for installation prior to Veterans Day each year. John Fox will represent the veterans from here on, and Tom Roy will represent the town of Simsbury in any future decision-making as it relates to inscribed pavers. I thank you all for allowing us to leave this legacy to Simsbury veterans and the hundreds of veterans whose military contributions appear on personalized pavers. Now, in closing, I'd like to close with the well-known words of our beloved Mary Poppins. In every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. You find the job and snap, the job's a game. Thank you.
So it is with great pleasure that I ask for a motion to accept the final donation of $30,495 from the Simsbury veterans, although there will be subsequent with the pavers, I assume, right? For the construction improvements to the Veterans Memorial Project.
So move.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
With our thanks.
We move on to acknowledge the resignation of Thomas Doran, a regular member of the Board of Education, effective October 6, 2017. May I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Review of the minutes of September 25th. If there are any changes, please let me know. Otherwise, those will stand as final, and then I'll do my first Selectwoman's report, because it's really exciting, guys.
So close.
Move to adjourn? No.
And we have a prohibition going past 9 o'clock.
I know. Well, we're not going to go. It's not even 8:07, so I think we're doing all right. In terms of a budget update, second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Oh, I don't know what, we didn't need a motion there. Yeah, there we go. I got a little thrown off my game
the
here.
adjournment thing.
No. Okay, the important notice to Simsbury taxpayers, as of this afternoon, we still do not have a state budget, so we are waiting on that. I know Senator Wickos was in negotiations today, but we did not receive an update from him on where that was. We wanted to remind folks with winter fast approaching to sign up for Town of Simsbury emergency alerts. We can't reach you if you don't sign up. So we don't have the ability just to send cold emails to folks. We need you to register if you want to be notified of oncoming storms or emergencies, and you can notify in 3 areas: Town News and Announcements, Simsbury's Community Alerts, and CT Alert System, which is the state alert system, and you do need to register for all 3. So we really encourage people to do that before the storm season comes. Simsbury, we're pleased to announce, was named one of the top 10 safest cities in Connecticut, and you can see the report there on, in my first Selectman's report, there's a link to that data ranking. Simsbury, I'm also very pleased to announce that the town of Simsbury received a grant, and I see we have a reporter in the audience, and this would be a great story. Receives a grant of $1,020,000 for multi-use trail connecting with the town of Bloomfield. This is an example of regional cooperation between the town of Simsbury and Bloomfield, and we are pleased to announce the regional grant in the amount of $1,020,000 from the CT Department of Transportation in cooperation with the Capital Region of Governments, which is CROG. You hear me talk about those updates periodically. That's what CROG does. They organize this grant. A lot of work on behalf of Jeff and Adam to get this done, coordinating not only any grant application is hard, it is made that much harder when you coordinate with another town. That's the link leading from Bloomfield to the town of Terriffill. So it's a great way to extend the Greenway and bridges a gap in the East Coast Greenway as well. I'd also like to recognize our state delegation, including Representatives John Hampton, David Barham, State Senators Kevin Wickos, Beth By, Doug McCrory, the Connecticut Greenways Council, and Simsbury and Bloomfield town staff. So you can see, and also I don't want to undervalue the work of this board. This would not have happened without the strong support of both this board and the town council of Bloomfield. So we appreciate the board's
And the
support.
bike pedestrian.
And the bike
committee.
pedestrian
Yeah,
committee as well.
they're a big deal.
Library staff member has been featured as a guest blogger on the National Association of Library Services to Children blog, so it's kind of it's a large, I don't know how to say this, it's a well-read blog. And so if you get a chance to read about the Autism Welcome Here grant that the Simsbury Library received and what we do with that, it's a wonderful blog post. The Connecticut Energy Assistance Program is available. We are here to help ensure that you stay warm this summer. You can reach out to the Town of Simsbury Social Service Department, who is taking applications for this program, and size of households, assets, and age will determine the benefits amount. But we are there to help. The Simsbury leaf collection schedule is up and posted on the town website, and there's also a link to it in my first Selectman's report, so you can check and see when your street will be targeted for leaf pickup. The Simsbury Pedestrian Bicycle Service Survey is up and running, so guys, you can do this too, right? Tom, there's no age limit, right, for them to do the survey?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so there is a survey for bike pedestrian, what do you want to see in town? And guys, you're the future generation, so this is your time to get online. That would be a great troop activity to take the survey and give your feedback to the town, what you want to see, what's important to you, what you don't like. So that, I hope.
A bike race with the Board of Selectmen would be fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
What did I ever do to you, Tom? You know what? That always ends with me being injured.
It's true, we do get injured when we go on bike rides, but there's always ice cream involved when the Board of Selectmen goes on a bike ride, so. Right. I wanted to remind residents that to inspect their mailboxes before winter storms. As you remember, last time we had a presentation from Department of Public Works Director Tom Roy to take a look at your mailboxes and check them for rot. If you can shake them, they're not going to survive the snow, wet snow being pushed onto them by the plows. So make sure, it's much easier to replace a mailbox and post now than it is when the ground freezes. So please take a moment to do that. Wanted to let folks know that the Household Hazardous Waste Collection on October 28th is coming up from 8 to 1 at Public Works Facility. I wanted to point out that this is another great example of regional collaboration and cost sharing. This event is co-hosted by Simsbury, Avon, Canton, Granby, and Farmington. And there will also be electronics recycling and personal document shredding with the 2-box limit. So we hope to see you there and thank Public Works for organizing this. The LGBTQ plus History and Trivia and Dinner event is being held on October 24th. There is a Veterans Day lunch and lecture on November 9th. Where the veterans and members of the public are invited to a soup and sandwich lunch and dessert, followed by a lecture to honor our veterans. Historian John Cilio will present an engaging and enlightening multimedia presentation on America's World War II Army Air Force, focusing on the bomber aircraft it used. So that should be great. I wanted to let folks know that Town Forest Park improvements are underway. So they're doing was approved by this board, and those constructions are ongoing. A lot of work. We're asking residents to please not use the area during construction. It's not safe to do so, but we hope to have that done by the end of November. So appreciate your support and help with that. I wanted to remind folks that voting locations are being changed, and the addresses are included in my First Selectman's report. They're being posted on Facebook. They will go in the press. People who live on these streets affected will get an individual flyer mailed to them, and the Registrar of Voters has let me know she's putting up signs at the end of each street saying, for instance, Ardsley votes here, so that residents will know. But please remind your folks to take a look at that if you know people in these lists. Reevaluation in the Simsbury Community Calendar and the Simsbury Meadows Performing Arts Center. There are links here so you can check out information on that. We had a very busy season of ribbon cutting. All of us were just prior to this meeting at the ribbon cutting for the Iron Horse Sports Pub. Have you guys been there yet? It's across from Rotary Park. It's a great place to do a pizza dinner. So they just opened. Really wonderful, welcoming place. Congratulations to them on their opening. There was ribbon cutting and welcome to Leaping Into Art is coming up, as well as Headdress Beauty Lounge. Hello Lovely. We attended the Storyteller Cottage ribbon cutting and congratulate them again. And also we welcome the new owners of Mill Common and the new management team there. And ribbon cutting also was held for proofreading and beyond. So you can see there's a lot of stuff happening right now in town. So with that, we will move on to liaison reports, and I actually do have a bunch of information to update the board on after the Deepwater Wind, but I'll open it up to you guys first if someone has something they want to report at none.
I can give a brief Community for Care report, unless
Sure.
you'd like.
Yeah.
In addition to doing some additional suicide prevention programming, which we are planning right now, the November program will focus on the LGBTQ community and mental health stressors that might be associated with that. It's open to any parents or residents that would like to participate, and there will be further information coming, publication.
So I thank for you, the Boy Scouts may not know what the Community for Care is, but that is a group of people who came together around the issue of mental health and addiction. And they brought together members of the town, so it includes members of the Board of Selectmen, police, social services, members of the Board of Education, some clergy, some mental health professionals, and they all get together and talk about what are the best ways to keep our community safe and help those who may be struggling. And so they do a lot of programming. It's a very interesting organization, again, all by volunteers who stepping up to make the world a little better.
Including Judy Sturgis, who was here tonight, and I didn't get a chance to thank her individually for that, but she does participate in the Community for Care.
So we could have added
And
that
does
to
a
her
great-
recognition,
Yes,
yeah.
and she's a very valuable contributor to that.
And I know you guys are learning through your troops that, you know, when you see problems, you can sit at home and complain about them, or, you know, write mean emails or something, or you have the ability to make a difference, and you can, and you guys do that all the time with your troop, and we're so proud of you and so pleased that you're coming here to learn about. And you had an opportunity to see so much cool stuff going on. We did, yesterday, have a very long day at the Siting Council for Deepwater Wind Solar, and it involved finding a truck that could hold the big map, which, I'm sorry, I didn't bring it in, I should have shown you, but it was a huge map, and it did not fit in any pickup truck, so it did require a van for public works. So we were it was quite a feat just getting it there, and we were grateful that it was not raining. We brought the sign. Oh, yeah.
Boss isn't messing around.
That's right.
He was very excited.
I was gonna say, I thought Mike would really care.
I was gonna offer mine, but no.
It wouldn't have even fit in Mike's truck. Mike brought his truck. It was not big enough to hold the sign.
Oh, the big truck.
But what happened at the meeting is that the petitioner continued the cross from the Siting Council. We're asking questions there. We have not begun our cross of the petitioner yet. Because of scheduling conflicts, the abutters presented their testimony out of order, and our landscape architect presented his testimony out of order. So those were begun by redirects and crosses. We completed the cross of the abutters' testimony. The council completed that, and the other parties had a chance to ask questions if they so wanted, and they mostly let that go. But there will be transcripts printed, and you can see what happened there. A couple of things that came up that I just wanted to bring to the board's attention is slightly interesting. Deepwater Wind at the hearing offered, again, as you recall, he sort of offered this in September, to give or gift the land to either the town or the state as an agricultural easement or for some other form of easement to be given to the town or the state. They said they didn't have a preference. And there was no actual offer, but I did want to make the board aware of that because that may come to us at some point after the 20 to 25 years useful life of the panels. So it would be essentially land banking the land for agriculture if the town so chooses to accept the gift, or if they actually make the gift. We have not seen the actual offer. But I did want to let folks know that that was out there. They did change the layout around 85 Hoskins. We appreciate the fact that they were willing to limit the size there. This is from the petitioner, not the council, so the council has still not decided what they're going to do for the ultimate application. But in doing so, they eliminated the solar panels behind House 85, not in the view shed that we've heard from residents is the most important part. So we will, be making the board's position known to the town, to the council, if, and this is one of the things I wanted to raise with council members, do you agree that we prefer to, if we have to concede anything, that we would prefer to keep the panels behind the house and get rid of the view shed panels leading up to the house?
Actually, Lisa, I thought the drawing they showed last night, or yesterday, was on the western side of the house.
Yes.
Which would be between the house and Squadron Line School.
No, so they eliminated can you get the map?
I'm sorry.
No, I think they eliminated the part by the school because people had
So
expressed
that had already
concern
been
about that.
eliminated.
Oh, okay.
So that had been eliminated. What had been left was the panels behind the house and then in front of the house from county and up there. And so their compromise was, well, we're going to keep the panels where everyone's objecting and get rid of the ones behind the house. Now, I have not had a chance to talk with Ms. Kilborn, so I would want to, talk with her as well. But so what that says to me is there was some movement, and the council members were raising questions about can this be reduced in size. So I think they were hearing at least some of our concerns there. We have not yet done the testimony of our consulting engineer, licensed environmental professional. And if you haven't had a chance to read his reports, it is worth reading. there are certainly issues that are going to be raised, and I think that will be the bulk of the conversation with the siting council. All right, here's the big map, guys. I would like it right there. So I'll just walk over and show where.
Show them the football field.
Yeah.
That's dramatic.
So this Adam did, and this is Adam. I'll be able to show the size of this project. This is over between, this is Hoskins Road, Antonia's restaurant. Everyone know Antonia's, right? So if you take that up, county goes this way, and Hoskins, over here is Squadron Line. See, guys got it in your head where it is? So this is all going to be solar panels, and this is, to get an idea of how big it is, this is the size of a football field. So that's a lot of solar panels, right? And what we heard from our residents is that this area right here is particularly concerning to them, because that's the view shed when people drive up. It's a bucolic setting. You'll see an open field there if you go up there. Anyone live in that area or go to Squadron? Couple, yeah. So do you guys know the area I'm talking about? And then Miss Kilborn lives here, and this is an historical home. So we're concerned about that from a historical perspective. But what the siting council, what the petitioner said, okay, well, we get that this is a historical home. So we'll get rid of these panels here, this section here, but we want to keep this. And from the town's perspective, we're making the argument that all of this should go, because this is a historic view shed. But if there has to be, and we appreciate that he was at least willing to move on reducing some of it. But if you're going to reduce some of it, we would much rather have this go, because the back stuff is not seen as widely as the others. So that's one of the issues that's going to come up. The other issue that may come up as we go through, if they decide to pass the siting council's, if the siting council decides to go award the petition to Deepwater Wind, one of the questions will come up on landscaping. And I just wanted to give the Board of Selectmen packets that Jamie put together on what was submitted and some of the presentations that we gave to the public.
One more this way, Lisa.
I'm going to have to hold on to one. You guys are going to have to share. Oh, no, here we go, Poor. There you go. And when Jamie talked, he did a presentation to the public where the public was invited, and sort of we did a vernacular of what we were looking for. And basically, the residents sort of agreed that it was important to have a landscape arrangement that was comparable to the area and the beauty of the area. And so that might involve a row of trees supplemented by a wood fence, possibly with a berm behind it, with fescue and grasses and perhaps pine trees and stuff like that. One of the questions that we're going to be asked by the siting council is, do the panels have to be invisible, or can we use the deceive the eye approach? I mean, you're probably going to see something to make it invisible. It might be, yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that the board was comfortable. Obviously, we're going to conceal as much as we can if it comes to that, or ask them to do that. We don't have an option on that, but we will be asking. And you can see in the back what our landscape architects sort of put together that we submitted to try and you can see sort of this is what the site looks like now, with the last 3 pages. And that's on the county side. This is what Deepwater Wind did, and this was, they put in a 10-foot vinyl fence, guys. That's 8 feet. So the fence they're proposing putting in is 10, so 2 feet higher than that. That's kind of crazy.
Right up by the string.
And our landscape architects, well, you don't use that fence. One, it's expensive. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
You can use something like this, a burn, and it'll hide it. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you being here. And so that's sort of the vernacular that we're talking about there. So there was some question about the height of the berm, so the siting council might want to lower the berm, but we're flexible, I think, but I want to confirm that with this board, as long as it looks good. And they talked about, instead of pollinator habitat, that they do grass habitats as well there. And, I think this board would be amenable to a useful purpose of the area as opposed to, but I just wanted to confirm or see if anyone had a different opinion on that. The other thing the petitioner agreed to, based on our request and actually the council's questions, is they will raise the fence to allow small mammal passage. So that was one of the major concerns of our residents, so we were very pleased to hear that. Both Adam and Tom and Melissa were there. Adam, I'll start with you. Is there anything else you want to add that happened at the meeting that
we haven't talked about? No, I wouldn't say so. I think the next meeting in November will be a little bit more telling from the town's perspective.
And that's because we'll be putting our expert on the stand, and he will be subject to cross-examination and redirect by the town of Simsbury. And we will also putting member from the Historic District Commission, Marguerite, will be on the stand, and she is a phenomenal human being. And let me just say, we are so grateful to her for her efforts, because she has had to put in way more time than she ever expected as a commission member of the Historic District Commission. It's very, so to the extent anyone runs into her, please give her a hug and a kiss from all of us, because we are grateful to her. But that will be sort of more the telling time of where we'll get a better idea of where the council is resting with that. Our primary points of interest are, right now, we do not believe the petitioners met their standard of proof, which is to meet the air and water requirements of DEEP. And that's the reason why we feel that is because of the reports that we've seen from our consultant. Our other concern is we would like to have the southern side of Hoskin, that whole area removed from the petition, and increased landscaping, and finally the decommissioning plan. Those are our primary things. We did make the request for the more comprehensive review under the certificate process, but that motion did not prevail. So we are proceeding under the petition process, but they have indicated that they're willing to look, the siting council have not ruled, but they certainly, commissioners are asking questions beyond the minimal requirements there, so that's at least positive. So Tom, is there anything else I missed?
I think you've covered it.
And we had both Elaine and Mike there. Anything you guys want to add?
It was a wonderfully invigorating day. It's a long time since I've been that warm for that long.
I was going to say, it was a well-heated room.
Yeah.
With no windows, right?
Yeah.
It was a long, hard day, yeah.
But it was educational, and I'm even more comfortable with the folks, the town staff, but also the professionals we brought in. And I would like to see all three of those issues addressed with the fence and the ability to do that, and the buffering, I think, is not a terrible request. I like the idea that we raised, where you don't necessarily need something 10 feet tall, because in some areas, for instance, below the tobacco barns, at one point, the edge of the field is 20 feet up, so we don't need a 10-foot wall there. You can go up 2 feet and not even see the entire barn.
Right.
But there are a lot of curves and everything in the road, so you really want to break up that perspective of just seeing this sea of solar panels.
Right.
And I would like to see the Deepwater folks come into agreement with us.
So I think that's exactly right. And what we presented are not actual plans, but concept plans, because it's not our job to do landscaping. That's the petitioner's job, but we're hoping that they will be a good partner in this. The other thing I omitted to mention was the keeping of the barns, the 5 barns. A very interesting thing happened on Friday afternoon where I was in my office after hours. I don't usually answer the phone at that time. That's when I get most of my work done. But the phone rang, and I picked it up, and it was from SHPO, a member of SHPO, and they said, well, we're very interested in keeping the 5 barns. And they said at that point, we are also interested in applying for a national grant to look at the history of Martin Luther King in that area and minorities in the area. Would you be in support of that? And I said, well, I haven't seen it, but yes. And I said, I can't give you that support independently. It would have to go before the board, but we would be very happy to take that under consideration. So that may come in. That was sort of an interesting development that, just sometimes you never know who's going to call, but they are now taking an interest where before they hadn't. The other thing they mentioned to me, they said, do you know anyone who's working on the Martin Luther King Memorial? I said, I know everyone who's working on it. Because initially they had rejected the committee's request to put it on the Freedom Trail. And the person who spoke to me, whose name I'm forgetting right now, but said that they've reconsidered that. So we brought that to the attention of both Elaine through the Historic Society, and I called Tara Willorp, who's been heading up the memorial. So they'll be following up with SHPO on that. So interesting developments, interesting times.
Well, didn't Deepwater question the Martin Luther King claim
Well, so there's
in its entirety? I mean,
I don't
which is
know.
unbelievable. But
Yes.
it's in the interrogatories?
Yes.
I was just looking through the.
So the question is, did Dr. Martin Luther King work on those actual fields that are right here? And I don't know that that's clear, but as Marguerite from the Historic District points out, it doesn't really matter because this whole area was important to the whole history. And Dr. Martin Luther King would not have been here but for all these tobacco fields
Absolutely.
being harvested. So that whether he actually stepped on one of them or not is not the significance. These fields are the very reason he was in Simsbury. Whether he worked on this field or that field, and also just the history of minorities in the state of Connecticut. This is really a phenomenal piece of history that has not been fully explored and should be treated with care. And so we're trying to make that point.
Well, that certainly helps us, that they are coming in with some interest in the project.
So I had them send me an email, and those were submitted by council to the siting council, so those should be posted at some point, so you'll see that.
Great.
But, so, strange times indeed. The petitioner, I do appreciate the abutters who came and thank them for being there as well. It is a little bit of a crazy and strange process to go through, but appreciate the thoughtful questions from council members, so they did they clearly read the petition, and we appreciate that. So, Elaine, did you want to add anything?
No, I think you hit all the notes. Oh, there was also, it appeared to be some interest with a few members on the siting council in making sure that those abutters who have well water had their water duly tested. I think I'm hopeful about that.
Yes, that is a major concern, and if you read the Zuvik and Carr reports, that's it's mostly a water concern, so we do want to make sure that they have adequately met their standard before any disturbances occur, and that, because our primary job as a board of selectmen is, yes, we care about the beauty, but safety first, and we do want to hope that that gets addressed to our satisfaction.
Yep.
All right, and Melissa, did you have anything? Okay. We found a great Thai restaurant near the
Yeah.
court, so I will point that out.
Go there on
good.
November
Good
2nd.
fast food.
Now you know where to go next time.
We do. With that, may I take a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Goodness.
Realties couldn't have done that fast.
Someday I'm